If you own a home on the Hamilton Mountain in Ancaster or in Stoney Creek and you'd love to move up, the first and biggest question usually isn't how much is my house worth, it's should I sell first or should I buy first? I'm Nick Bucalo, broker with Kasura Realty, and I'm a move-up specialist for these three areas. In this video, I'd like to provide you a framework so that you can decide if it makes sense for you to move in Hamilton's 2026 market. My goal by the end is to provide real clarity, real questions you can ask, and decide if 2026 is your year. I'd like to start with a quick high-level review of how we got where we are now. Since the market peaked in 2022, it's taken real skill to navigate effectively. For a few years there, demand completely overwhelmed supply. In a lot of cases, you basically had to sell and buy in the same weekend with no conditions and just hope everything lined up. Thankfully, we're past that, but it comes with its own challenges. The data so far this year shows we're much closer to a balanced inventory on the mountain, in Ancaster, and in Stoney Creek. Days on the market are longer, and we're seeing conditional offers more often again. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it does mean timing options are returning that just didn't exist most of the last decade. Today's market actually reminds me a lot more of like it was 20 or 30 years ago when I was just helping out with my dad. A lot more balance, not the frenzy that defined the better part of the last decade. These strategies are going to be something that are actually designed for this type of balanced market. Let's start with the classic option, sell first before you buy. This is usually the right move if your budget for the next place depends heavily on what you get for your current home. The idea of carrying two mortgages makes you lose sleep. The upside is financial certainty. You sell your mountain home, you know exactly what you walked away with, and you go shopping in Ancaster or Stoney Creek with a clear, firm budget. You've eliminated the scenario where you're stuck paying for two houses at once. The trade-off is timing. You're shopping knowing your home is already sold with a closing date looming. In the hotter markets, that would have been terrifying because there simply wasn't the inventory. In 2026, with more inventory and more days on market, it's much more realistic, but you absolutely need a backup plan. That might mean a short-term rental, staying with family, or some other way to manage a bridge period if the perfect home doesn't hit the market inside your ideal window. For example, if you're selling on the mountain, detached, you know you've got family in town you can stay with, and you're targeting a bigger detached in Ancaster, selling first can make a lot of sense if you want that rock-solid budget before you start writing those big offers. The second option is buy first, usually with a condition on the sale of your current home. This is usually for people with stronger equity and income, where the lender is willing to support a short overlap. The big emotional benefit is that you can be picky. Find the right Ancaster or Stoney Creek home first, lock it up with conditions, and only firm everything up after your current home sells. There are a few important nuances and risks here. An offer with a sale of property condition is usually seen as less attractive than an offer with standard conditions like financing and inspection. There are ways to structure it to help, but they're very situation specific. You'll almost always have to agree to a 48-hour escape clause. In simple terms, after you make the deal, the seller can keep showing the home. If another buyer brings a better offer, they can give you notice that you have 48 hours to either remove your sale condition, so remove your safety net, or back out of the deal. After you make a deal, there's still the risk that it takes longer to sell your home than expected, or that you have to adjust your price to get it sold, and the whole plan can feel tight. The best way to reduce these risks is to nail down realistic pricing and timing expectations and have your home as close to ready as possible before you start seriously looking. In this more balanced 2026 market, sale of property conditions are far more common and the risks are lower than a few years ago, but they're still there. My job is to provide the hard data and my honest opinion. You need to be honest with yourself about your comfort level, and you need to understand your lender's rules. This strategy works best for people who have a very specific type of home they need and have some wiggle room in the budget with good equity. The third option is for folks with the strongest equity and very busy lives. Buying with full bridge financing, owning both homes for a short window while you move. If you've built up strong equity and your lender offers bridge financing, this can give you the smoothest experience. You buy your new home in Ancaster or Stoney Creek, move in, and then you list your mountain home once it's empty and can be sharpened up to look its best. The downside is cost. Yes, you put yourself in the best position to get the most for your home, but you're paying short-term interest on the bridge amount, and you need to be comfortable with that extra obligation, whether it's only a few weeks or a couple of months. Again, we'd want to be very clear on pricing and timing expectations. For some families, especially with kids or complex schedules, That reduced chaos and ability to time things properly is worth more than the temporary carrying cost. So how do you choose? Here's a good way to frame it. First, ask yourself, can you realistically handle a short overlap or bridge financing if you had to? If the answer is a clear no, financially or emotionally, then selling first is most likely your better option. You get pricing certainty and you remove the 2 mortgage risk. You just need a backup plan for where you'll live if timing doesn't line up perfectly. If the answer is yes, your second question is, what's a scarier scenario for you? Budget uncertainty or ending up in a house that isn't the right fit? If budget uncertainty is what keeps you up at night, lean towards selling first. Or we do the math using very conservative numbers if you're thinking about buying first. If the scariest thing is not getting that right house, then buying first tends to win. From there, we do the financing due diligence to see where your risk tolerance lies. A short bridge versus a longer bridge, remembering the risks that come with each path and what your family schedule looks like. There isn't a one-size-fits-all answer here. But there is a best fit strategy once we plug in your actual numbers and talk through your risk tolerance. If you're in a Hamilton Mountain, Ancaster, or Stoney Creek home right now, and this is the question you're wrestling with, use the link in the description to go to homesaleshamilton.ca and register, or DM me the word PLAN on Instagram. My handle is @NikkiBucalo. I'll look at your current value, what you're aiming for in your next home, and your financing, and I'll tell you which of these 3 options is safest for you in Hamilton's 2026 market. No pressure, just a simple move-up plan so you're not guessing. I'm Nick Bucalo, broker with Casora Realty, bringing you clear Hamilton real estate data so you can make confident decisions.